Hi, I'm josephrlewis, and I write adventures. And today I want to talk about how to write an adventure for a specific system, and the system of the day will be Shadowdark. So, what do we need to know or keep in mind when we write an adventure for Shadowdark? First, if you haven't already, you should play in several Shadowdark games, and then you should run some Shadowdark games. Remember, as adventure writers, it is our job to create this document that is going to support a GM at the table, and as any kind of writer, it's really good to know your audience. So the best way to understand what a Shadowdark GM needs at the table is to spend a little bit of time as a Shadowdark GM at the table. All right, now let's talk specifics. First up is light. Light and darkness are very important to Shadowdark, to its rules and how it functions, and also to its style and the way it plays at the table. So, we need to design our adventures in Shadowdark to explicitly have dark locations or regions or spaces where light management becomes important for the players. They need to have torches, they need to have spells, they need to watch out for effects that can take away their light. These are important features and they should be baked into your adventure structure. If your adventure takes place outside in a well-lit area or inside in a well-lit area, you are automatically sort of taking away one of these key elements of Shadowdark and how it works, which you can absolutely do, but you need to do it intentionally and think about why you are doing that. The next Shadowdark element we're going to talk about is treasure. Treasure in Shadowdark enables the characters to buy things and gain things, but also to accumulate XP. So your adventure needs to reward the players in some fashion by allowing them to find treasure, and this should happen in a handful of specific locations. Remember that each little pile of gold and trinkets and whatnot is worth about 1 XP, and something more substantial like a magic weapon is worth 3 XP. So if you're writing a low-level adventure, then maybe it has 1 to 3 locations that have low-level, gold lying around in a pile worth 1 XP, and maybe 0 to 1 locations where there is a magic weapon worth 3 XP. If you're writing a higher level adventure, then you're probably going to want to have 5 to 10 locations that have piles of gold lying around or gems or whatnot, and then maybe anywhere from 2 to 4 magic weapons or other items of higher XP value. This means that some locations in your adventure will not have any treasure in them at all, so we need to make those locations interesting and compelling and worth adventuring in for other reasons. For example, in these other rooms, we want to include strange devices to interact with, NPCs to talk to, and mundane loot, useful items like tools and rations and torches, which are still useful and valuable to the players. Keep in mind that mundane resources in Shadowdark are very important. A key element of Shadowdark is resource management. The players only have so many slots that they can put gear in. They may need to switch things out between each other. They may need to decide what to leave behind and what to take with them. So this introduces interesting decision-making for the players. It's also important for us as the adventure writers to be creating sources of these different mundane resources in an intentional fashion. So there should be some sort of source of food, and this could be plants and animals that are lying around. If there are disease or poison effects in your adventure, there should probably be some kind of resource for addressing that, for curing that. Maybe it's a magical potion, maybe it's a natural herbal resource, maybe it's an NPC that can provide healing resources or services. The next element in our Shadowdark writing that we want to talk about are random encounters. Shadowdark is a game that cares about time management and how the players spend their time. So if they spend a lot of time in one location, as measured in crawling rounds, then they're risking having a random encounter in that location. So we, as the adventure writers, need to have good random encounter tables. I've done other videos that have talked about random encounters before, but generally speaking, in Shadowdark, our random encounter table could be as simple and short and small and basic as having 4 entries of straightforward monster encounters. But I tend to prefer having a much longer table of 10 to 20 entries with a variety of encounters. So maybe half of my table will be basic monster encounters, and the other half will be things like effects that attack the player's light, environmental dangers like falling ceilings and objects, collapsing floors, signs of danger like a corpse that has been mauled by a T-Rex, and then maybe an extremely dangerous monster encounter like a corpse mauling T-Rex. The next element we'll talk about are NPCs. Now, you all know that I like to write very talky adventures where you can have a conversation with just about every person or monster or enchanted object that you run across, because I think that's fun. And for a Shadowdark adventure, I tend to think about NPCs in two categories. First, there are NPCs who are non-combatant people, usually some kind of peasant, who are just hanging out in a given location because it makes sense for them to be there, and they have some sort of information to offer, probably because they live there and they know about the region. These kinds of NPCs are helpful tools for the GM. It's a way for them to give players information or hints about where to go or what to look for, what to do next in case the players are getting stuck. I usually look to put 2 to 3 NPCs, these talky sort of peasant folks, in a short adventure, 2 to 3 folks. One is usually near the beginning because they help the GM to explain what's going on. They give them the setup. They say, oh no, my daughter's been kidnapped. Please go save them. And then there'll be 1 or 2 in the middle, maybe another adventurer or someone who's already seen what just happened. They're like, oh no, I was just mauled by the giant goblin in the next room. Help me up. So these are helpful tools for the GM to communicate information to the players, and it's helpful for us as writers to communicate information to the GM by having this spelled out and even give them a block of text, which is a quote that they can just read out loud to their players. My second category of NPCs that you can talk to are usually monsters that you can fight. These guys usually don't have information to offer in the typical sense, but they do have desires or fears that are part of their character that can tell the player something about the setting. For example, the kobolds in your adventure might be afraid of going near the pond because they know there's a troll in it. They're probably not going to say, we know there's a troll in the pond, but they may say when they're running away, remember, don't go to the pond, or stay away from the pond, or if you go to the pond, don't come back because we're not going to come rescue you. The players can hear that and think, oh, there's something interesting about the pond because of these kobolds' interactions and their desires and fears. Either we want to go there to see why they're afraid of it, or we should also avoid it because they're afraid of it. I tend to put a talky monster in just about any location I can get away with it, anywhere they seem to fit in or make sense. And that neatly brings us to our next element of Shadowdark Adventures, monsters. I find it best to have a range of monsters in a Shadowdark adventure. I think there should be some low-level monsters and adversaries that the party can easily defeat while using up some of their resources, like burning some spells or using up their luck tokens. And then there should be some mid-level monsters that introduce more challenges. The players have to be a bit more thoughtful about whether or not they want to have those encounters and how they will manage them. And then, of course, there's usually one big bad monster at the end, which is going to be very challenging, very dangerous. And the players hopefully will be accumulating resources and making plans specifically to address that threat. Remember that it's okay for a Shadowdark adventure to be very difficult or even lethal. It makes it more interesting, it makes it more gritty, and people expect it, so it's fine. Another note about monsters, I think it's useful, important, or good for your monsters to show up multiple times, if it makes sense, throughout your adventure. Meaning that, if it makes sense, they should encounter the goblins 1, 2, 3 different places, so they can encounter this creature for the first time, learn how it works, learn what it's vulnerable to, learn what its tactics might be, and then they can use that information the second and third time they encounter those creatures. They can feel more effective, they can feel like, oh, I've learned, I've become a better adventurer. It rewards them paying attention and engaging. It makes them feel smart and successful. The next element about our Shadowdark adventure that we'll talk about is the level. Shadowdark Adventure should have the level indicated on the cover page, if not on the cover. I put mine on the cover page. This tells the GM what level the PC should be at to do this particular adventure that you've written, so they know whether or not it's appropriate for their players. I personally don't worry about the level while I'm writing the adventure. I only start to think about it after I've completely written it, and I'm about to have a playtest session, so I need to tell my players what kind of character to bring. And that's when I start to figure out or do the math on what kind of level adventure have I written. During the writing, I just put in whatever kinds of creatures or challenges seem appropriate to the setting or the story, the plot that's going on, because I want it to be cohesive and make sense, and then I think about the level after I've done that writing. When I'm trying to figure this out, I try to imagine a baseline party of 4 players who represent the 4 core classes, your thief, your fighter, priest, and wizard. One way to try to figure out this this magic number of the level, is to take the level of the biggest monster, the biggest threat in your adventure, and divide that by 3. So if you have a level 12 dragon at the end of your adventure, divide 12 by 3, and 4, you get 4. So maybe your player should be about level 4. And then I would run my playtest at level 4 and see how it feels. Typically now when I publish an adventure, I don't say it's for one specific level. I usually give a small range of levels. So I'll say this adventure is for levels 4 and 5, or levels 4 or 5, with the intent being that at 4, you can play it. It will be challenging and difficult. At 5, it will be much easier. Part of our challenge here is, what does a party look like at someone else's table? Someone else could be running for 6 people who are very min-maxy and aggressive, so maybe they should be playing it at level 3. Someone else might be playing for a much smaller table with only 3 kind of story-focused characters. Maybe they should be playing at level 5 because they don't care so much about the challenge. They're looking to have a good story experience. So trying to give people a ballpark and explain why it's a ballpark is probably more helpful in the real world than trying to say, my adventure is exactly for level 5. Also, keep in mind, in Shadowdark, the players get significant talent bumps on the odd numbered levels. Going from level 4 to level 5 is not just a small increase, it's a large increase, because at level 5 they get a new talent, a whole new ability. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about the level of your Shadowdark adventure. The last element of our Shadowdark adventure that we'll talk about is the map. Shadowdark is a classic dungeon delving game that also embraces hex crawling overland travel. So it's important to have a good map for your Shadowdark adventure. A dungeon map is also a really good shortcut to convey information to the GM. So we can tell them where all the doors are, we can indicate which ones are locked, you can show where the secret entrances are. All of these things can be conveyed on the map. It's also fairly typical in a Shadowdark GM-facing map to put maybe a letter indicating the monsters in the room. So you could say, this is the room where the dragon is, and just put a D in there so the GM can easily glance at it and say, where is the dragon in this adventure? Oh, it's in room 5, because there's a D in there. Obviously, that's not in the player-facing map, but it's a handy resource for the GM, and I think that's a very cool idea. Shadowdark measures distances in words rather than numbers, so we have close, near, and far distances, or double near. But it is still useful and helpful to have a grid on your map when it is a dungeon grid, so players can get a sense of how large is this room compared to this room or compared to the hallway, and they can make tactical decisions perhaps about, do we want to flee down this narrow corridor because the large monster won't be able to follow us, and things of that nature. But I wouldn't worry about the measurements so much as just the comparison of how many squares is this room compared to another room. And that helps give the GM and the players just a sense of scale of how much space they're moving through and whether or not it impacts the creatures they interact with and the choices that they can make. So those are the 7 elements of a Shadowdark adventure that I wanted to talk about with you today. And again, they are light. Light management is very important. You should have a dark environment, things that provide light and things that take light away. Those should be important elements in your rooms and your random encounters. We need to think about treasure, keeping in mind that a pile of treasure is 1 XP and a magic item is 3 XP. Also, a magnificent magical boon of some kind from a god would be 10 XP, but that doesn't come up an awful lot. We also want to think about our random encounters, providing a variety of experiences and things to interact with. We care about the NPCs. Hopefully there are some generic ones that we can talk to for information, but we can also use our monsters as talky NPCs that can provide some context or give some clues about what's happening in our adventure space. We have our monsters. We want to have a variety of monsters, low level and high level, and it's also good to repeat our monsters so the players can learn from their interactions. We care about the level of the adventure. We need to convey that to the GM to see if this is appropriate for their group. We need to do a little bit of math and a little bit of playtesting to try to figure out what is the right level range for the players for the adventure that you've written. And lastly, the map. The map is a very helpful tool to the GM, both to understand the space and the adventure that you are writing for them, but also it helps them to then interpret where are the monsters, how big are the rooms in comparison to each other, and how can I pre-think about this? How can I pre-plan and prep for my adventure just by looking at the space across the map? The map should be a shorthand for understanding the entire adventure. And that's all of my notes for this week for how to write and plan for a Shadowdark adventure. I hope that was helpful to you. And I'll be back soon again. So good luck out there. Hey everyone, if you like this content and you want to see more, or if you just want to support the channel, you can head over to my Patreon, where I have a whole bunch of stuff being queued up. We have dev notes for my adventures, we have my fantasy novels, we have early access to videos, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So please go check out my Patreon at patreon.com/josephrlewis. Thanks.